My body was still electrified, the nerves sensitive and firing. I felt Sam gently lift me from the couch and pull me to his chest. I lived in a modest, tiny home, something that I could afford with my job at the bakery. It took him only a few seconds to get me to my bed and set me down on it. I barely registered as he went to the restroom, warmed up a damp cloth, and then cleaned me tenderly. It was after he laid in the bed and tucked me in that I made a mistake. I hadn't meant to say it, the words slipping past my lips in my sated, foggy state. "I love you, Sam," I whispered, curling up into his side. It wasn't until I felt how stiff he was that I realized what I said. The pleasured fog I had been in dissipated, and slowly I looked up at him. He refused to turn his eyes down to me, refused to make that contact, to acknowledge that I said anything at all. My eyes burned, my heart constricting. It was always like this. He knew how I felt for him. It wasn't the first time I had said it. Every time was the same. He didn't want to hear it. He didn't want my love, and I knew I didn't have his. I held out hope that one day I would have his heart, but I was sure I wouldn't. This was just another reminder that I would never be able to call him mine. "Go to sleep, Pey." He laid down on the bed, leaving his arm up and under his head so I could rest my head on his chest. The same way we slept every night. Normally, I would do as he wanted, pretend that I hadn't said anything, but this time I couldn't. I was tired of hiding, tired of just being dragged along. One minute, Sam was being doting and loving, as if we really were more than just two people who had sex occasionally. Then he would be like he is now, hiding away from anything romantically intimate. I was his to use sexually, nothing more. "I love you." One last test, one last chance to see if he could finally let me in. "Don't do this." He rolled over on his side, giving me his back. I could see how rigid his spine was, how tense he had become. It didn't matter. I felt my tears break free, falling silently down my face in hot waves. He didn't love me, and he never would. "Get out!" My voice cracked, my heart shattered. He spun around on the bed to stare at me with wide eyes, surprised that I was this upset. "I won't be your fuck toy anymore, so get out." "That's not what this is." He tried to crawl to me, but I held out my hand, stopping him. I met his eyes, let him see the agony I was in. "I love you, Sam." He shook his head, looking just as pained as me. "Peyton, please, stop. Let's just sleep, and in the morning—" "We're done. Please leave." I tore my gaze from his, unable to look any longer. I couldn't keep doing this. I couldn't keep putting myself out there just for him to shove me away again. I wasn't good enough for him. I was just a quick lay and nothing else. I couldn't keep being a toy for the man I loved. It would destroy me if I stayed. "Peyton." He reached out for me, but I turned away from him, giving him my back, exactly as he had done a few moments before. I heard the gasp, his whimper of pain. He was upset because he was losing his plaything, his fuck buddy. Now he would have to go out and find a new one. The thought tore a sob from my throat, and I covered it, grabbing my stuffy and holding on to it tightly. I felt the bed shift, thought Sam was going to comfort me. I was wrong. He pulled the blanket over me, crawled out of the bed, dressed, and then left. I wasn't sure I would ever see him again. I didn't know if I wanted to.